Now let's jump right into it. As the VP of Health and Performance at Canyon Ranch Resorts, what trends are you seeing when it comes to increases in healthcare provider visits, and why is that the case?
Yeah, so obviously we've been around for 45 years, so we've seen a lot of the trends over many decades in the health, wellness, performance space. And every few years you see things that really take off, and the things that usually take off have really good research behind it, because that means that there's been years of study, years of quality scientific exploration to determine are these things really working, and can they really make a big difference in the lives of people. So the big initiatives right now that we're seeing a lot of people asking for, and then what we deliver on, is really the things in preventative care. So people coming to try to get ahead of potential issues. That can be things like cancer, for example, trying to prevent and get ahead so we can check things out early, all the way to simple things like how do we prevent energy loss over time, or the inability for many executives who struggle with sleep, or the challenges that we see with travel and eating on the road and not being able to maintain an appropriate nutritional plan when we're on the road. So from our perspective, we sort of see it from all avenues. People that are really very much health focused, and everything is about medical health related things. And then also there's a lot of people that are very interested in performance based metrics. I'm feeling good, I'm doing well, but I want to optimize who I am. I want to sleep better. I want to be able to exercise more. I want to feel more refreshed every morning when I wake up. What are the things that I can do to take me from, let's say, a 7 out of 10 right now to a 9 or a 10 out of 10? And the trends really are moving into those areas. And one of the big ones is recovery. So we all talk about, hey, you've got to exercise more, you've got to do all this activity to get the body feeling good, to move better, things like that. And that's obviously really important. But you also have to find ways to help with your recovery, especially if you're a executive who is working excessive hours, has a high stress or traditionally high stress environment, and finding ways on a daily basis to optimize the recovery so you can perform well at your job and at your life, which sometimes the job and the life intersect even more than most people realize.
Excellent. Now, let me take a step back. For those who might not be familiar of what is Canyon Ranch, can you fill us in a little bit?
Sure, it's a great question. Again, we've been around for 45 years. It's a health wellness resort. And what that entails is we have a great, phenomenal resort environment at our properties, great food, great rooms, great ability to relax, the best spa in the country. And so we have that component, which makes our setting unique. But we also have a very big area of health and performance. So from medical, integrative medicine, physicians, nurses, we have nutritionists, sports medicine providers, spiritual wellness providers, mental health providers, great fitness and outdoor sports practitioners. So we really incorporate all these different areas of wellness and health in really the only place in the US that does it like we do, that has full medical with all these other areas that can optimize health, wellness, and performance.
We recently saw that Canyon Ranch launched longevity. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So our Longevity 8 program is something that we've been doing components of it for many decades. But what we did over the last year was put together the most thoughtful way to address the biggest questions that we've been getting from our audience. And that's really, how do I live younger longer? That's the question we're trying to answer. And we have this 8 areas of focus, from integrative medicine to fitness and flexibility, to nutrition, to sleep, to spiritual wellness, to outdoor activities, to all these areas that allow the body and the mind and the spirit to develop the skill sets that we know correlate with longevity. So this is all data driven, research backed on the areas that we understand are linked to living longer. And we go very in depth. So it's a 4-month program. There's 4 days on site at the ranch, and then there's some pre-work that is done. We get some information before you arrive, and then 3 months of follow-up. And the follow-up is really important because it allows for the behavior change to take place. But the testing, the diagnostics, we have over 200 biomarkers that we look at. And that's everything from full in-depth Canyon Ranch blood work to cancer screenings to genetic screening to the ability to look at your VO2 max or how well you utilize oxygen, which has correlation with living longer, your strength scores, your body composition in depth. So we're not only looking at how much body fat do you have, but where is the fat in your body, because we know there's certain parts of the body where if fat is deposited in certain areas, it's a greater risk to your health. It's called visceral fat. And so we evaluate that in great detail. And then we incorporate all these in behavior change plans that the individual gets, and then they have contact with our experts to make sure that any of their questions are answered as they go through. The plans that are set can be followed and can be incorporated, and they can actually truly make a difference to help them live younger, longer.
Incredible. Now, Dr. Kovacs, what advice would you have for any of those HR leaders or health care organizations when it comes to addressing provider burnout? What can they do for their workforce?
It's a great question, and we have thousands of people each year that come on our properties across the country that are dealing with that. I mean, they're individually dealing with that concept of burnout and excessive stress that they don't have the skills right now to how to manage. And the beauty is there's a lot of options for people that can help with that. And it's typically not just one or two things. A lot of the time people will focus on one or two areas, but it's really this integrative approach to addressing the body, mind, and spirit connection. And how do we optimize all three of those paradigms to allow an individual to maximize their capabilities? So, as one of my mentors, Billie Jean King, said, pressure is a privilege. And a lot of people don't realize that the stress that they feel many times is because they're doing something worthwhile and productive and making impact. But it's how do we handle that? And that's what we need to understand. We need to understand, are you doing the right things nutritionally? That plays a big role. How is your sleep? And have you addressed that? And do you understand that? And what little things you can do to sleep a lot better? How is your exercise modalities and when are those applied? The concepts aren't complicated, but understanding each personalized aspect of it is meaning that what I recommend for me is going to be different than what I recommend for you, because you have a different profile, you have a different lifestyle, family is completely different, your time constraints are different, and what you enjoy is different. We all know high intensity exercise is a great form of exercise. Zone 2 training, which is lower intensity exercise, is also great exercise. So which one should you do? And we have tests that we can determine that will allow us to know which is better for you based on your makeup. How do you burn fat versus how do you burn carbohydrates? That by itself can play a big role in what you should eat, but also how you should exercise. And then from a mental health perspective, obviously having right strategies. And we use quite a bit of technology now to help people with, if they've got anxiety type symptoms or if they've got mild depression type symptoms, there are a lot of things that we can incorporate in addition to our talk therapy that we're great at, but there's also technology that can be incorporated as well that can help individuals through challenging situations or providing a plan and an action step to deal with environments that aren't as easy for many people to deal with. So as we know, stress and burnout is the arguably biggest problem in the workplace across nearly all industries. But that is partly because we don't necessarily use the right strategies to help individuals work through that. And we see people every day, and that's one of the biggest groups that we deal with is individuals coming to help with plans around that area.
Really great advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Kovacs. And of course, we are delighted that Canyon Ranch could be a partner of Behavioral Health Tech this year and excited to hear more from your team this November and really appreciate you taking the time with us. Thanks so much. Where can folks find more about Canyon Ranch?
Sure. So go to canyonranch.com. Our website has all our information. We have events every week of the year, really, on a different topic. And it varies from, food events to book events to beauty events to spa events to sleep immersions. We have heart health, weight loss, outdoor activities, hiking and biking in excursions, racket sports, tennis and pickleball. So it's a pretty cool place because of the varied options. And we've had people that come back multiple times a year for decades because of the variety.
Sounds amazing. Can't wait for my trip after this conference. So appreciate everything. And I welcome our audience to go learn more at your next convenience.